Amidst the boundless expanse of the Eurasian steppe, a nomadic civilization emerged, making a profound impact on the course of human history. The ancient Scythians, a formidable nomadic people renowned for their unparalleled horsemanship and awe-inspiring military might, thriving in the northern region of the Black Sea. Join us as we explore their captivating history and enduring legacy, from their origins in the Bronze Age all the way to their eventual downfall. The history of the Scythians can be traced back to the Assyrian records dating back to the 9th century BC. Referred to as the Ashkuzai or Skuza by the Assyrians, these nomads were described as formidable inhabitants of the steppes in the northern Black Sea region. One of the early references to the Scythians comes from the inscriptions of Tiglath-Pileser III during his military campaigns in the Caucasus region. Tiglath-Pileser III encountered the Scythians and recorded their presence in historical records. The Scythians were mentioned again a century later, during the reign of the Assyrian king Esarhaddon, in connection with military campaigns in the Caucasus and the region around Lake Van. Esarhaddon described the Scythians as a fierce and nomadic people who resisted Assyrian rule. The origins of the Scythian populations have been a subject of debate among modern historians. While several theories exist, most agree that the Scythians moved from Asia into Europe through the Great Steppe Corridor. According to the Greek historian Herodotus from the 5th century BC, the Scythians originally inhabited Asia but were compelled to move westwards due to pressure from a hostile tribe. Eventually, they reached the Black Sea region in the eastern outskirts of Europe, where they displaced the existing inhabitants. However, other perspectives have also been proposed. Greek historian Diodorus Siculus in the 1st century BC suggested that the Scythians initially migrated north from the Araxes River of Armenia. Some contemporary historians argued that the Scythians moved in several waves from the Volga-Ural steppes into the North Black Sea. Recent archaeological findings in Tuva, located in the Altai Mountains, have led to suggestions of early origins in the east. Additionally, Chinese chroniclers from the 1st century AD made intriguing mentions of the Scythian striking features: red hair, blue eyes, in Indo-European language. Such accounts have kindled speculations of Bronze Age origins in the West, possibly stemming from the realms of the Celts. The vast expanses of the Central Asian steppes allowed for the fluidity of movement, facilitating migrations and interactions between different tribes and cultures. As a result, tracing the Scythians' definitive origins proves a challenging endeavor. It is plausible that early waves of expansion emanated from the Western territories, while subsequent migrations originated from diverse points. Despite the intricacies and uncertainties surrounding their origin, the Scythian heritage found its expression in a vibrant array of cultures across the Eurasian steppes. 4 prominent groups emerged, each fostering a unique cultural identity shaped by warrior nomadism, distinctive forms of governance, and remarkable artistry in dress and craftsmanship. These groups were the Pontic Scythians, whose domains encompassed the lands around the Black Sea; the Sarmatians, hailing from the northern Caspian Sea and the Don and Volga River regions in present-day Russia; the Massagetai, who thrived amidst the sprawling desert steppe of Central Asia; the Saka, a formidable force inhabiting the vast expanses of East Central Asia. In the 8th and 7th centuries BC, the Scythians embarked on a conquest that expanded their dominion over the Pontic and Crimean steppes, encompassing the region north of the Black Sea up to the Danube River. They solidified their rule over diverse sedentary populations, including Thracians, Maeotians, and later the Greeks along the north coast of the Black Sea. During the 7th century BC, the Scythians encountered the Greeks, who were establishing colonies within the areas under Scythian control. Thriving commercial ties between the Greeks and northern sedentary peoples brought the Scythians into permanent contact with the Greeks, with relations remaining mostly peaceful, albeit with occasional small raids on Greek colonies. Using the Pontic steppe as their base, the Scythians conducted frequent raids into adjacent regions, extending their reach as far as Central Europe. During this period, the Scythians also came into contact with the Neo-Assyrian Empire. Initially, hostilities prevailed, but a turning point came when the Scythian king Bartatua married into the Assyrian ruling dynasty, leading to an alliance and Scythian assimilation of Assyrian influence. In 635 BC, the Scythians, with the approval of the weakening Neo-Assyrian Empire and in alliance with the Lydians, launched launched an expedition into Anatolia. During this campaign, they defeated the Cimmerians, which had recently conquered the regional center of Sardis and expanded their rule into central Anatolia. Additionally, the Scythians ventured into Media, where their influence played a significant role in shaping the Medes' mastery of archery. However, as the Neo-Assyrian Empire's power declined in the late 600s BC, the Scythians faced expulsion from West Asia. Most of them subsequently migrated back to the Pontic steppe, establishing it as their new center of power. Meanwhile, the remaining Scythians assimilated into Median culture, leaving a lasting impact on the region's development. In the Pontic steppe, the Scythians thrived culturally, introducing ironworking acquired from West Asia. They interacted with the newly established Persian Achaemenid Empire, which emerged as a dominant power in the former Assyrian regions. During the 5th century BC, the encounters between the Scythians and the Persian Achaemenid Empire reached a pivotal moment during the reign of King Darius I. Seeking to expand his empire's influence, Darius embarked on 2 significant expeditions against the Scythians. The first expedition occurred around 513 BC, when Darius led a vast army comprising troops from various subject nations. The Persian forces crossed the Bosphorus, marched through Thrace, and crossed the Danube River, entering the vast expanse of the Scythian steppes. However, the Scythians, masters of guerrilla warfare and elusive tactics, avoided direct confrontation with the Persians, drawing them deeper into the open and unfamiliar terrain. As the Scythians retreated, they employed scorched earth tactics, depriving the advancing Persian army of vital resources and sustenance. This strategic approach not only frustrated Darius' forces, but also tested their resilience and supply lines. The lack of decisive battles and the harsh conditions of the steppes began to take toll on the morale of the Persian troops. Unable to secure a definitive victory and faced with a prospect of potential supply shortages, Darius ultimately decided to abandon the campaign and lead his troops back to Persia. The first expedition proved to be a strategic failure for the Persians, as they failed to subdue the resilient Scythians and assert dominance over the steppes. Undeterred by his initial setback, Darius launched a second expedition against the Scythians around 508 BC. This time, he adopted a different strategy, crossing the Bosphorus into Scythian territory by way of the Black Sea coast. The Persians advanced northwards, engaging in various skirmishes with the Scythians along the way. Yet, despite their efforts, Darius' forces once again found themselves unable to decisively defeat the elusive Scythian warriors. The Scythians' adeptness in hit-and-run tactics and their intimate knowledge of the vast steppes made them a formidable adversary. During the 4th century BC, the Scythian kingdom of the Pontic steppe experienced a golden age of prosperity, primarily driven by their thriving trade relations with the Greeks. The Greeks sought coveted commodities such as furs, fish, and grain from the Scythians, offering in return wine, olive oil, and luxury goods. It was the grain trade in particular that became the cornerstone of the Scythians' economic success, as they emerged as the main supplier of this vital resource to Greece. The Scythians capitalized on their strategic location and favorable trade routes to establish themselves as key players in the grain trade, generating considerable wealth and influence. Their prowess as traders enabled them to interact with the Greek colonies and fostered economic growth, while some Scythians transitioned to sedentary farming and fortified settlements. This period of prosperity culminated during the Peloponnesian War, when the Scythians played a paramount role as the primary grain supplier for Greece, securing their position as vital contributors to Greece's sustenance and survival. However, the Scythian kingdom's fortunes took a downturn when they faced defeat at the hands of the Macedonian king Lysimachus in 313 BC. This military setback weakened their once formidable military might, leaving them vulnerable to invasions from Celtic, Thracian, and Germanic tribes. These incursions, coupled with a loss of control over crucial grain trade routes, eventually led to the erosion and collapse of the once thriving Scythian kingdom. By the 3rd century BC, the Scythians had effectively disappeared as a distinct culture group. The legacy of the Scythians is a complex subject, partly due to the scarcity of historical records about their fate. Adding to the confusion, the term Scythians in late antiquity and the Middle Ages was applied by Greek and Roman historians to various nomadic barbarian groups residing on the Pontic Caspian steppe. These groups, such as the Huns, Goths, Ostrogoths, Avars, and Khazars, were not directly related to the actual Scythians, leading to diverse theories and speculations linking the Scythians to various other tribes and nations. For instance, The similarity between the name Scythia and the Latin name for the Irish, Scotti, gave rise to theories of a Scythian ancestry for the Irish, as recorded in the Historia Brittonum of Nennius. One cultural group which can tangibly be connected to the Scythians were the Sarmatians, an Iranian-speaking nomadic people who emerged as a distinct cultural and political entity in the Eurasian steppes during the first millennium BC, right after the disappearance of the Scythians from historical records. They shared cultural and linguistic similarities with the Scythians and are often considered an offshoot or related group within the broader Scythian cultural complex. Another such tribe were the Alans, who were a part of the broader Sarmatian culture group. Renowned for their military prowess, the Alans were involved in various historical events, particularly during the migration period. Over time, both the Sarmatians and Alans migrated and settled in different regions, including parts of Eastern and Western Europe, the Caucasus, and Central Asia. One group that is speculated to have had a connection to the Sarmatians and Alans were the White Croats, who emerged as early medieval people during the 6th and 7th centuries AD. Historical sources mention the White Croats as one of the migrating groups in Eastern Europe, settling in the region known as Dalmatia, corresponding to present-day Croatia. The White Croats are believed to have had cultural and linguistic connections to the ancient Sarmatians, and some theories propose their involvement in the broader migration of nomadic groups from the Eurasian steppes. This movement may have influenced the early Slavic-speaking populations of the Balkans. Finally, the Scythians, a modern-day ethnic group residing in the Caucasus region, have a significant historical connection to the ancient Scythians. Believed to be descendants of the Yazyges, an Hellenic sub-tribe within the broader Scythian cultural sphere, the Scythians have preserved elements of their Scythian heritage within their cultural identity. Over the centuries, the Scythians have maintained a distinctive linguistic and cultural identity, with their language, Ossetian, classified as an Eastern Iranic language. Despite the passage of time and the influence of neighboring cultures, the Ossetians continue to cherish and celebrate their historical ties to the Scythians, embodying a living link to the ancient nomadic people who once roamed the vast Eurasian steppes. Thank you for watching this video about the history of the Scythians. To support us in creating more content like this, please show your appreciation by liking this video and subscribing to our channel. Stay tuned for more fascinating stories from the past.